The reverse jinx has worked again, this time for Smriti Mandhana. India's T20 vice captain has hit her way back into form towards the back end of the WBBL. Welcome to this episode of Mutual Fund Sahi Hai presents The Outside View, powered by Fantasy Akhada.
मेरे रिटायरमेंट की बहुत फिक्र है तुम लोगों को।
हर किसी को अपने रिटायरमेंट की फिक्र होती है, तुझे शायद नहीं होगी।
मैंने फिक्र नहीं, तैयारी की है म्यूचुअल फंड्स के साथ।
म्यूचुअल फंड्स?
मैंने अपने पैसे बरसों से म्यूचुअल फंड्स पे इन्वेस्ट किए, इसलिए कह रहा हूँ रिटायरमेंट प्लानिंग के लिए म्यूचुअल फंड सही है।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Well, it's been a short week, but a week that's seen a lot of movement. All of Melbourne Renegades, Perth Scorchers, and Brisbane Heat have secured their spots in the playoffs, while both Hobart Hurricanes and Sydney Thunder are out of the running. But speaking of Sydney Thunder, let's move to our first segment of the week. Well, that's the best match of the week. And although the Thunder have been knocked out of the tournament, they were involved in what I think, was easily the best match of the week. Their encounter against the Melbourne Renegades on Wednesday, that's November the 17th. It was a game in Mackay. Melbourne Renegades batted first. They were reduced to 9 for 2 in 2 overs. They lost Jemima Rodriguez very, very early, but they rode on a partnership between the other two internationals, Eve Jones and Harmanpreet Kaur, and of course a cameo from Jess Stuffin towards the end. That all took them to 175 for 4, a rather massive total. And Kaur registered her highest WBBL score through that innings. It was an 81 not out of 55 balls. It was a knock that was filled with all of her trademark strokes. You think of the slog sweep, the smash down the ground, the glide past point, but it also, surprise, included a couple of reverse sweeps as well. So in the chase, who else but Smriti Mandhana stood up for the Sydney Thunder. She scored her maiden WBBL 100 off just 64 deliveries. It was 114 not out of 64 balls. She took the chase into the final over during a time where, honestly, I didn't think, or not many would have thought, that the Thunder realistically had a chance with the amount of work that Mandhana had to do. Talia Wilson, of course, supported her very well, but she wasn't able to score at the required rate, which put a lot of pressure on Mandhana. But towards the back end of that innings, Mandhana really stepped up. She took 24 runs off the 18th over bowled by Holly Furling. And towards the back end, well, in the last 6 balls, Sydney Thunder needed just 13 runs to win. And Sophie Molyneux threw the ball to Melbourne Renegades' main bowler. Well, she's become their main bowler, Harmanpreet Kaur, and Kaur, of course, defended it. She conceded only 8 runs in that over, and the Renegades got over the line by 4 runs. So that incredible knock by Mandhana means that I have to mention her in our next segment. That's the Fantasy Akhada top performer of the week. It's only right that I mention Smriti Mandhana. I mean, she did score a fantastic 100. It's the equal highest score in the WBBL so far. But that's not to say that there was no competition. I mean, Adelaide Strikers opening batter Katie Mack had a good week as well. She scored a couple of half centuries. Amanda Jade Wellington, the leg spinner, has been consistently in the wickets. She's fielded very well as well. And of course, Beth Mooney continues to do Beth Mooney things. But of course, Mandhana and the 100 mean that she kind of pips the other performers. It was an incredible knock. Like I said, she played a lone hand in that chase, a massive chase of 176. Didn't quite get over the line, but it was a wonderful knock. And she backed, and it was a knock that came after a good 45 that she scored against the Sydney Sixers. And that 45 obviously came in a win for the Thunder. So I guess the anti-jinx or the reverse jinx worked for Mandhana, and she is our Fantasy Akhada top performer of the week. So I'm going to do something different this week and not talk about the disappointments. And instead, I'm going to do something that I did at the start of this tournament and talk about the standouts. So if you remember, in the very first week, the WBBL kicked off with some incredible catches and fielding. And the headline that was, of course, Shafali Verma, and that run out that kicked off the tournament. So this week we're going to talk about the fast bowlers. I mean, I can't be around the entire tournament and not talk about the fast bowlers. It's been a bit of a while, and the batters seem to be, as usual, stealing the thunder. So I think this week has seen some incredible fast bowling. I mean, you think of the Darcy Brown's delivery to dismiss Richa Ghosh. There was Maitland Brown, who produced a fantastic outswinger to get past Annika Bosch. Then there was Izzy Wong, who squared up Ashley Gardner. Courtney Sipple also produced a pretty great ball to dismiss Alyssa Healy. So there was a lot of very, very good fast bowling. And of course, if you add all these deliveries to the magic of Kim Garth and Taylor Vlamek early on in the tournament, there's been plenty of wonderful team pacer action through this season. So moving on, let's look at the points table now. And all the teams have played 12 games so far. And you can see Melbourne Renegades are at the top with 18 points. And like I said earlier, they've sealed their spot in the top 4 alongside the Scorchers and Brisbane Heat, who follow them with 16 and 15 points respectively. Both the Renegades and Scorchers are kind of in a battle to decide who will finish at the very top of the table. Of course, Heat kind of have an outside chance to do that as well, but they do face the Renegades next week. So maybe a bit difficult for them. The Scorchers will have to win both their games to get past the Renegades, but they'll also have to hope that the Renegades lose one of theirs. So there are a lot of results that have to go different ways for the teams. But of course, the Strikers' loss against the Scorchers on Wednesday has kept both the Melbourne Stars and the Sydney Sixers. Their hopes are still alive. But one more win for the Strikers will shut the door on the rest of the competition. So the games over the weekend will decide where the teams finish, who the team at the top will be. I mean, remember, the team that finishes at the very top of the table earns the right not just to move straight into the final, but also host the final. So there's huge advantages to finishing at the top of the table, and the games over the weekend will be very, very exciting with lots at stake. So that's it from me on this episode of Mutual Fund Sahiya presents The Outside View, powered by Fantasy Akada. It's going to be an exciting few days, so strap in and make sure that you catch all the action. But in case you don't worry too much, because we'll bring you a recap of the group stage right here on Women's Cricket Zone.
डायरेक्ट प्लान म्यूचुअल फंड में खुद से इन्वेस्ट करने का ये एक ऑप्शन है, इससे कमीशन बच जाता है।
अरे यार जस्सी, मुझे बताना।
डायरेक्ट प्लान में सोच समझ कर इन्वेस्ट कर तो ही फायदा है।
सही है। तेरी इतना भारी
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार जोखिमों के अधीन है। योजना से जुड़े सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।